How do you feel in your 40s, 50s and older after you and your spouse decided to not have kids? I'd like to comment on behalf of my neighbors. They're an old couple, probably mid-60s, who have more energy than anyone their age that I've met. Instead of kids, they seemed to adopt our neighborhood as their family, hosting jam sessions, drunk Christmas caroling, and ping pong tournaments. I'd kiff not having kids has kept their attitudes young. But when I'm mid-20s, hang out with them, it doesn't have that age gap feel to it. They just seem to have the energy of youth despite their age. I love kids. I love my nieces and nephews. I want to help them be good people, achieve their dreams, have experiences, and hear good advice from the viewpoint of someone not their parents. I love to play evil robot with them, and family gatherings usually consist of me trying not to spill my beer while swarmed by squealing kids. But I am an extremely introverted person, and I need a lot of time alone. I have never wanted children full time, and neither has my partner. We are, consistently, really happy with our choices to remain childless. The world needs awesome uncles and aunties to help shoulder the burden, and to slam kids on the bed yelling gravity takes you to the pit of destruction. I liked the idea of having kids, but it wasn't a deal breaker for me. My wife absolutely did not want kids. 25 years later, and we're very happy with our decision. Don't get me wrong, I tend to spoil any kids I get around if I have the chance. But not having kids has allowed us to travel more, to save more, and not to have to think about what to do with the kids when we want to go out to dinner. Though truth be told, I'd probably make one of those obnoxious doting fathers who show everyone my kids' pictures. I'm not regretful, I think I'd be just as happy, but my life would be unrecognizably different. In my 60s, my husband and I couldn't have children. We regret that, but we enjoy our life and have freedom to do things we couldn't do otherwise. It wasn't a choice, but it has turned out fine. My parents are in their 60s and 70s and have many friends who never married or had children. As they've aged and started to have more health issues, their friends have stepped up to the plate. Even some of those who did have children have been supported primarily by their friends. My dad has driven his friends to and from chemo treatments. He visits them at home and brings them food. He's helped them arrange for meals on wheels or hospice. Many of his friends do the same for each other. They've known each other for 50+ years and they all look out for each other, with the healthiest ones looking after the sickest. My dad's childhood friend Jay passed a few years back. He never married and had no children. My dad and his friends cared for Jay for years as he deteriorated, and he died at age 70 with his mother still alive at 90. My dad then took over looking after Jay's mother, since Jay was an only child and they'd been friends since high school. I am 47. I chose not to have kids, and married someone who can't have kids. We did adopt one of our nephews, and I want to be clear on this, we did it not because we wanted a kid, but because he needed a better home. He was 17 when we adopted him, and he is now 19 and moved out late last year. I work from home, and our home is happy and often full of laughter and all that other hallmark shit. It's a good life, and we both feel fulfilled. Occasionally, we have people ask us what the secret is to our happiness, and honestly we don't know, but kids are not really part of it. Our 20th anniversary is coming up later this week. I'm 44, wife is 39 for a few more months. We're feeling absolutely fine, it's the people we meet on a daily basis that seem to have problems with it. I didn't get married until I was 39, and my wife is 8 years older than me, so, yeah, no. I'm 49 now. No regrets. Your late 40s is a weird time. You have some friends the same age who are grandparents and some who have toddlers. Edit, also this. We got married in our early 30s and wanted kids. We left it up to nature. Well, nature said no. We decided we weren't going to spend money on trying. It just wasn't in the cards for us. We have a good life, travel, boating, pets. I love all my nieces and nephews and make a point of seeing them as much as possible. Just recently we found out that because of a medical problem I was having, they would have to my tubes or insert an IUD, thus killing any chances of us having children. Even though we knew it wasn't going to happen for us, we kind of always held out hope it'd be that 50 miracle. Cried for days. I miss having a family. I never really wanted a baby, but I do wish now for a family. We're both in our mid-50s and without children. We are very happy with just the two of us. We realize that we have no one to look after us when we are old and are already thinking about how to go about living when we will be in need of help. Nieces and nephews we won't approach for that. They have their lives with their own parents to look after. It is our decision not to have children, so we have to make sure we will manage by ourselves. 50 here, was happy with just the two of us. Now he is dead, I am all alone. Sometimes it seems very difficult and lonely, but I still wouldn't have wanted to have kids. And what if I had had them, but at this point they never wanted to visit me anyway, which does happen with kids and their parents. Rich. I feel rich. My co-workers who make the same money as me complain all the time about not having enough. And here I am with more money than I know what to do with. My wife and I decided not to have kids. We are 42 and 45 years old. We have found there is a social stigma that is kind of frustrating. People assume there is something wrong with us, or, the most annoying thing, oh that's okay, there is still time, plus, we basically have nothing in common with our previous friends who are all balls deep in diapers and daycare etc. When we do see our friends, all they talk about is their kids with each other etc. It's been really hard to find people to hang out with that don't have little kids at our age. The last bit which pisses me off is when I explain to my friends why we don't want to do it. A. Money. We have plenty now to live in a nice house, in a nice area and do nice things. If we had a kid we'd be broke. B. Time and business. Both of us run our own businesses and have spent a lot of time making it this far. Neither of us are willing to give it up. C. The fact that we think the world is headed for a bit of disaster with climate change, overpopulation, shortages of water and energy etc. Just don't want to bring a child into this right now. And D. At this point I would be 60 when my kid graduated high school, just don't have the energy to do it right and frankly no desire. We get from people either we are selfish or oh you'll figure it out. Yeah, I've seen my friends figure it out. Someone quits their job because daycare is almost as much as their salary, people get tired and fat, then in debt, then divorced with a 7 and 5-year-old. Maybe I am a negative a-hole, or a realist, but mostly I think misery loves company and people are jealous that we are happy, financially secure, fit, and get to sleep in on Saturdays. Our realistic problem right now is decided how we can get a beach house to retire in. I'm 50, no kids, no spouse, absolutely no regrets, never wanted them, never really wanted a spouse either. Unlike others here, I don't love kids, babies stress me out and younger kids are pretty annoying. I find kids most interesting when they reach about 12 or so and you can see them start becoming adults. When people, mostly relatives, used to ask me about it, I'd be like don't jinx me. Now they don't bother asking. I guess I'm old enough the question is kinda moot. Never got my tubes tied so it was always kinda worry, but I'm actually glad I always had the option if I had changed my mind. Everyone changes so much over the years, way more than you realize when you're 20 and know everything. A couple of times I daydreamed about having kids with some guy I was infatuated with, but I realized I didn't really want kids for their sake and that would be a horrible reason to have some. Mid-40s here with mid-30s GF. We're loving it. We travel, we have a little dog that gets spoiled, we visit our various siblings' children and come off like heroes at Christmas. Dink equals win. I never wanted children, perhaps because I babysat a lot in my young teens and I couldn't see why people did this on purpose. My husband didn't really care one way or the other, but I knew it would basically be my responsibility to work full-time and raise kids. We had moved away from where our parents lived, and I would have no support system. I had no desire for that to be my life. Some of our friends have so many problems with their children that I don't think they will be much help to them when they need it. My only regret is it would be nice to have a grandchild to pass our money to should we have any left at the end, and I do worry who will assist me or my husband when one of us is alone, but having a child is no guarantee there. We were able to retire in our early 60s and have a nice life. I volunteer as grandchild.